I never imagined betrayal could taste so bitter until I watched my best friend walk down the aisle toward the man I once called my husband. Claire. My sister is everything but blood. The one who wiped my tears, swore on our friendship, and promised we'd never let a man come between us. Yet here she was, draped in white lace, clutching his hand, looking at him with the same love-struck eyes I once had. And him? Daniel. My Daniel. The man who vowed to love me forever but instead replaced our forever with her. The church was filled with the scent of fresh roses, the soft murmur of guests, and the faint sound of my heart shattering into a million irreparable pieces. I gripped the edges of the wooden pew, my nails digging into the polished surface as the words echoed in my mind. I now pronounce you husband and wife. The crowd erupted in cheers. Claire beamed. Daniel kissed her, and I couldn't breathe. I shouldn't have come. I should have burned this invitation the second it arrived at my doorstep, wrapped in gold-trimmed elegance, mocking me. But I needed to see it for myself. I needed to witness the destruction they caused, because if they thought they had won, they were sorely mistaken. This wasn't their happy ending. This was the beginning of my war. For 5 years I lived in a love story that I thought was mine to keep. Daniel and I met in college, one of those classic fate-kissed moments where two souls collide and the world shifts. He was the boy with the easy smile and the deep brown eyes that held promises of forever. And I was the girl who fell too hard, too fast, believing that love like ours could never break. We built a life together, one brick at a time. Lazy Sunday mornings filled with coffee and laughter. Whispered secrets under the covers at 2 a.m. Planning futures, chasing dreams. From the outside, we were perfect. The kind of couple that made others believe in love. But perfection is a fragile illusion, and I was too blind to see the cracks forming beneath my feet. Then there was Claire, my best friend since childhood. If Daniel was my heart, Claire was my soul. We grew up together, inseparable, bound by pinky promises and whispered dreams of forever. She was there for every heartbreak, every triumph. She knew me better than anyone, and that's what made her betrayal cut the deepest. Looking back, the signs were there. The stolen glances. The quiet moments between them that I brushed off as friendship. The way Claire always seemed to know things about Daniel that I hadn't told her. But when you love someone, when you trust them, you don't see the storm brewing. You only feel it when it finally hits. I should have seen it coming. I should have known that love, when left in the wrong hands, could turn into a weapon. But by the time I realized it, I had already lost everything. It started with a whisper, soft, almost imperceptible. A tiny crack in the foundation of my perfect life. One evening, I was in the kitchen, humming to myself as I stirred the pasta sauce, waiting for Daniel to come home. The scent of garlic filled the air, mingling with the warmth of our little apartment. It was an ordinary night, one of 1,000 we had shared. Until his phone lit up on the counter. At first, I didn't mean to look. I was reaching for the salt when my eyes flickered to the screen. It was just a text message, nothing unusual. But then I saw the name, Claire. I hesitated. Claire and Daniel were friends, sure, but she had never texted him directly before. Not like this, not at night. Curiosity gnawed at me, an unsettling weight pressing against my chest. I picked up the phone, my fingers trembling slightly. I didn't open the message, I didn't need to. The preview was enough to send ice through my veins. I can't stop thinking about last night. When can we talk? The spoon slipped from my hand, clattering against the tile. The sound was deafening in the silence of the room. I blinked, hoping I had read it wrong. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe this was some inside joke I wasn't privy to. My mind scrambled for excuses, for reasons to believe this was anything other than what it seemed. But deep down, I knew. Something was wrong. That night, I didn't say anything. I didn't confront Daniel. Instead, I watched him carefully, every word, every movement. I studied the way he avoided my gaze when he kissed me hello, the way he kept his phone close, the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. I had always trusted him. Trusted them. But now, Doubt gnawed at me like a slow-spreading poison, and I wasn't ready for the truth I was about to uncover. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning in 1,000 directions. Claire's message kept flashing behind my eyelids like a neon sign, impossible to ignore. I can't stop thinking about last night. When can we talk? What did it mean? Was I imagining things? Was I reading too much into it? Claire had been my best friend for years. She would never betray me. And Daniel loved me, didn't he? I turned to look at him. He was asleep, his breathing steady, his face calm. I wanted to shake him awake, shove the phone in his face, and demand answers. But fear held me back. What if I was wrong? What if I accused him, and it turned out to be nothing? Would that make me paranoid? Insecure? But what if I was right? I swallowed the lump in my throat and reached for his phone, my hands trembling. The screen was locked. Of course it was. He had changed his passcode months ago, telling me it was for privacy at work. At the time, I didn't question it. Now, it felt like a wall between us. The doubt was eating me alive. The next morning, I sat across from Daniel at the breakfast table, pushing my food around my plate. I wanted to ask. I wanted to say something. Who were you with last night? Why is Claire texting you like that? Are you cheating on me? But I didn't. Instead, I forced a smile. You got home late last night. Daniel barely looked up from his coffee. Yeah, work ran late. You know how it is. Lies. I clenched my fists under the table. Yeah, I know how it is. The words tasted bitter in my mouth. That afternoon, I picked up my phone and hesitated before calling Claire. My fingers hovered over her name, my heart hammering. I wanted to believe there was an innocent explanation. I needed to hear it from her. The phone rang once. Twice. Then, just as I was about to hang up, she answered. Hey, you! Her voice was bright, cheerful too cheerful. I swallowed hard. Hey, Claire, what's up? Not much, just running some errands. What about you? I hesitated. I could hear the bustle of a busy street behind her, but something in her voice sounded off. Forced. I took a deep breath. I saw your message on Daniel's phone last night. Silence. A beat too long. Then she laughed, but it was nervous, strained. Oh, it's nothing. I was just asking him about something work-related. Didn't mean to be cryptic. Lies. My stomach twisted. Claire, be honest with me. She exhaled sharply. Look, I don't know what you're thinking, but it's nothing, okay? You're overthinking. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something told me my world was about to fall apart, and I wasn't ready for it. Doubt had become a constant companion, whispering in my ear, twisting every glance, every word, every moment into something sinister. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on the edge of a cliff, that at any second the ground beneath me would crumble. And then, it did. 2 days after Claire's half-hearted excuse, Daniel came home late again. This time, I didn't wait. This time, I followed him. It wasn't planned. I just needed the truth. I had been on edge the whole evening, checking the clock, waiting for him to leave. When he finally grabbed his coat and walked out the door, I gave him a few minutes before slipping into my car and tailing him. My heart pounded as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. I didn't know what I was hoping for. That he was telling the truth? That this was all in my head? But deep down, I already knew I wasn't wrong. Daniel's car pulled into the parking lot of a small boutique hotel on the other side of the city. I parked at a distance, my breath shallow as I watched him step out and glance around, as if checking for anyone watching. Then, he pulled out his phone. A few seconds later, she arrived. Claire, my best friend. She stepped out of a cab, her blonde hair cascading down her shoulders. Her lips curved into a soft smile as she approached him. My stomach twisted into knots, but I told myself I still didn't know anything. Maybe they were just meeting to talk. Maybe... And then, Daniel pulled her into his arms and kissed her. the world blurred. The sound of my heartbeat pounded in my ears, drowning out everything else. I felt like I was suffocating, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. This was it. The proof I never wanted. Claire ran her fingers through his hair, laughing at something he whispered in her ear. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run up to them, to tear them apart, to demand answers, to hurt them the way they had just hurt me. But I couldn't move. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my entire body trembling as the weight of betrayal settled deep in my bones. They had lied to me. They had stolen everything from me, and they thought they had gotten away with it. But they were wrong. I wouldn't let them win. I wouldn't let them destroy me. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. I spent the next 24 hours in a daze, replaying that kiss in my mind like a broken record. Every touch, every whisper, every stolen moment between them that I had overlooked now screamed at me in sharp, unforgiving clarity. I had two choices. I could walk away, let them have each other, disappear quietly like the fool they thought I was. Or I could burn everything to the ground. I chose fire. The perfect opportunity came faster than I expected. That night, Claire invited me to dinner at her apartment like nothing had changed, like she wasn't sleeping with my husband behind my back. My hands shook as I typed out my reply. Wouldn't miss it. I arrived right on time, my heart pounding as I stood outside her door. My entire body buzzed with adrenaline, but I forced myself to breathe. Tonight, they would know what betrayal felt like. Claire opened the door with her usual dazzling smile. "You look amazing," she chirped, pulling me into a hug. I clenched my fists. Liar. The apartment was warm and inviting, scented with vanilla candles and the faint aroma of pasta. I spotted Daniel in the kitchen, pouring wine into 2 glasses. His back was to me, his shoulders relaxed. He had no idea. Claire led me to the dining table, setting down an extra plate. "I made your favorite," she said, beaming. How ironic. I watched as Daniel finally turned around, his expression shifting from casual to startled the moment he saw me. He blinked, his fingers tightening around the glass. "Hey, babe," he said, forcing a smile. I nearly laughed. "Babe." Like he hadn't been holding another woman just last night. I sat down, swirling the wine in my glass, my fingers steady despite the storm raging inside me. I let them talk, let them pretend, let them dig their own graves with every fake word. And then, just as Claire leaned in to refill my glass, I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. The video played before either of them could react. Claire's laughter. Daniel's hands on her waist. Bear kiss. The room fell into silence. I lifted my gaze, meeting Daniel's wide-eyed horror, then shifting to Claire, who had gone completely pale. I leaned back, sipping my wine. "So," I said, my voice eerily calm, "how long has this been going on?" Claire opened her mouth, but no words came out. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, his face twisted in panic. "It's not, don't," I cut him off, slamming my glass onto the table. "Don't you dare lie to me." Claire's hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the table. It's not what you think," she stammered. I laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Really? Because it looks a lot like my husband and my best friend betraying me in a hotel parking lot." Daniel exhaled sharply. "It was a mistake." I arched my brow. "A mistake?" I repeated, my voice laced with venom. "Tell me, Daniel, how many mistakes have there been?" He looked away. That was all the answer I needed. Claire reached for my hand. "Please," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "You have to believe me. I never meant to hurt you." I pulled away, disgust curling in my stomach. "You didn't just hurt me, Claire. You destroyed everything." Tears streamed down her face. "I love him," she blurted. The words sliced through me like a blade. Daniel flinched. "Claire, stop." But she wasn't stopping. She was unraveling. "I didn't plan this," she sobbed. "It just happened. I inhaled sharply, my nails digging into my palms. Things like this don't just happen. You made a choice. Both of you did. Daniel looked at me then, something desperate in his eyes. I never wanted to hurt you, he said quietly. I stared at him, at the man I had once loved more than anything. The man I had trusted with my heart, my future. And suddenly, I felt nothing. I pushed my chair back, standing to leave. You two deserve each other, I said, my voice void of emotion. Enjoy your perfect little love story. Claire sobbed harder. Daniel called my name, but I was already gone. And this time, I wasn't looking back. I walked out of Claire's apartment and into the crisp night air, each step feeling lighter than the last. The weight I had carried for weeks now, months, was finally lifting. The truth had burned, but in its flames, I had found clarity. I wasn't broken. I wasn't weak. I wasn't the fool they thought I was. But I wasn't done yet. I drove home in silence, my grip on the steering wheel firm, my mind already working through what needed to happen next. Daniel and I had built a life together, but now I was tearing it down. By the time I reached our house, I knew exactly what I had to do. The next morning I woke up early, earlier than I had in weeks. I brewed myself a cup of coffee, savoring the taste as I stared out the window. The sun was rising, golden light spilling over the horizon. A new day. A new beginning. Daniel came home around 10, looking exhausted, his hair a mess, his shirt wrinkled. He had probably spent the night at Claire's, drowning in regret. Good. He stepped inside cautiously, his eyes searching my face. Can we talk? I took a slow sip of my coffee. Oh, absolutely. Relief flashed in his eyes, as if he thought I was willing to forgive him. He had no idea what was coming. I stood up, reached for a folder on the counter, and slid it across the table toward him. His brows furrowed as he picked it up. He flipped it open, his face going pale. Divorce papers. I signed my part, I said casually. I suggest you do the same. He swallowed hard, gripping the papers. Can we at least talk about this? I tilted my head, feigning thoughtfulness. You mean the way you talked to Claire? Behind my back? In secret? While lying to me for months? His jaw tensed. It wasn't like that. Oh, no? I folded my arms. Then tell me, Daniel, what was it like? Silence. That's what I thought. I sighed, leaning forward. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. You don't get to lie, cheat, and betray me, then ask for a conversation when you finally get caught. His eyes darkened. So that's it? I gave him a cold smile. That's it. For a moment I saw something flicker in his expression: regret, maybe even pain. But it was too late. I walked away from him and didn't look back. I wasn't done yet. Claire may have stolen my husband, but I wasn't going to let her walk away unscathed. She was a rising name in her industry, climbing the corporate ladder, building her reputation. And she had always been careful about her image. Too bad for her, I had receipts. The photos, the texts, the videos. I had gathered everything, and I knew exactly where to send them. Her boss, her clients, her family. By the time I was finished, Claire's picture-perfect world had cracked. I didn't have to do much. The truth spoke for itself. A week later, I got a message from her. Claire, why would you do this to me? I stared at my screen for a long moment before typing my response. Me? Why would you do it to me? I blocked her number after that. Let her sit with the consequences of her own choices. It took time to untangle myself from the life I had built with Daniel. But with every step, every form signed, every item packed, every goodbye whispered, I felt lighter. I moved into my own place, a cozy apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city skyline. I started going out again, reconnecting with old friends, rediscovering who I was before Daniel and Claire had ripped my world apart. One evening, I stood on my balcony, a glass of wine in my hand, watching the city lights flicker. For the first time in months, I felt free. They thought they had won. They thought they had destroyed me. But I was still here, and I was stronger than ever. I smirked to myself, raising my glass to the night sky. To new beginnings.